Day. Pod up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Monday edition, a Martin Luther King Day edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I know a lot of people are off work today. Hopefully you're tuning in to this worldwide program here. A lot of stuff going on. We're going to welcome JC in real quick here on the Titan MR hotline. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine. Doing great. Beautiful day. Ready for another week.
We got a lot to talk about. Second part of today's program, we're going to have Blake Alderman on, talk about the Gators recruiting weekend. It was hot and heavy. Some news and notes around Gator sports. If you missed it, Gators beat South Carolina men's basketball on Saturday to get their first SEC victory. JC, I know you don't follow it because a lot of people don't. Women's basketball is on a roll, dude. With their interim coach, she is tearing it up. And they had another big excuse me, COVID. No, I'm just kidding. So congratulations to the women's basketball. Gymnastics yesterday comes from behind with 2 perfect 10s to beat some team called Alabama. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff. Tennis is doing real well. They're out on a swing. We'll get into all that. It's hard to believe spring sports are already cranking up. Baseball and softball will be kicking it up here in about 30 days. So there you go. John says on Facebook Live, 5-5 on his picks this weekend. Should have put some money on it. Yeah, I think most people picked all these games. They were pretty easy, honestly. Some teams deserve to be in the playoffs. Before we get to the NFL, Auburn's going to be your newly ranked number 1 team in America because Baylor lost again. The Auburn Tigers, JC, you got to go get you an Auburn hat.
Yeah, good luck with that. I think Auburn was they were 4 last week, something like that. They had a really good week, and I mean they won the other night by 9 on the road at Ole Miss, and
they were down 16 though. Did you know that?
Yeah, and they came back and still won by 9 points, which means
they battle, man. They play so damn hard, and they got some good players. Good gracious,
they do. You know what though, QB, Auburn is quite good. I think Kentucky though is the team that continues to seem to get better and better and better. I don't know if Auburn's peaked or not, but I don't think Kentucky has. And
they peaked. They played the best game in the history of the school from a statistical point Saturday. Did you know that?
No.
Kentucky. They shot over 70% for the entire game.
Yeah.
That'll never happen again.
The way they handled Tennessee that day.
They shot 70%.
I know, and you're right. That's not going to happen. Probably ever again, but I just think though that they seem to be getting better and better and better. And listen, I'm not taking anything away from Auburn. I think Auburn's fantastic. Could be a Final Four team, but I also think that Kentucky, you could see them at the top of the SEC by the end of the year.
Lauren says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melton Law. Shane, you mean Auburn has good players? It's not Mike White's fault. It's amazing to me how Bruce Pearl gets some of these top-notch players. You know, he's got probably the number 1 pick in the draft. We know he's been caught cheating multiple times, but now he can cheat and it's legal. So, Auburn's very good. Kentucky's good, but Auburn right now, if the tournament started today, they would be the number 1 overall seed. JC, before we jump into the NFL, did you happen to see golf last night?
I don't know if I've ever seen a guy hit a golf ball as good as Russell Henley did on the front 9 when he shot a 29, I think it was. And then on the back 9, he couldn't make birdie. It was really crazy, wasn't it? And that's why Matsuyama came back. And getting an eagle in that extra hole was, that's not that hard for those guys. Well, let me say this: it's more common. Let's just go with that. It's hard, but it's more common, with these guys making eagles on par 5s than what you might be used to. But the way Russell Henley's played on that front 9, honest to God, he hit some shots I mean, he was unbeatable. And then, credit Matsuyama for just sticking with it, hanging in there, because Russell couldn't make a birdie on the back.
Well, the sudden death hole, Russell Henley made like a 6 or 7 on the hole. It didn't matter.
Well,
but the shot that Hideki Matsuyama from 270 yards out on the 3-wood into the sun that he didn't even see when he hit it was ridiculous. But it was good stuff over there in Hawaii. Hideki Matsuyama is now either your leader in the FedEx Cup points, and now they head to California.
What about my man's 29 on the front?
Oh, this is the thing over there. Everybody had like 29s and 30s over there. I mean, JC, you might be able to shoot a pretty good round over there in Hawaii.
Russell Henley, I don't know. He's kind of always around the leaderboard. He never really breaks through. I thought he was going to win it yesterday, but
another Georgia Bulldog on tour.
Is he a Georgia Bulldog? Well, the other one was Kisner, and he's
a Georgia Bulldog.
Yes, he is, and he finished third in the tournament. That's just amazing that this guy shoots 65 on the last day and doesn't win. You shoot a 65 on the final round. You've got a 62, a 63, a 67, and a 65 for your tournament. That's not going to do it. It's amazing. But, hey, Hideki shot 63 on the weekend, man. Come on.
We got a text on the Titan MR text line from Daryl. He says, "Good morning, guys. Shane, I could run the chains for your team. I'm currently in the transfer portal going from Clay to Middleburg. But if your NIL package is better, I could join your team. Shout out to the pod up with Matthews in the morning." Thanks, man. I don't know if you were on the show, but we were talking about, it would have been great to get into coaching and get fired. So I had all my listeners, they've already applied for jobs. So we have a whole roster so we can go coach one game and get fired. All right, let's get to the NFL playoffs, JC. Let's start with Saturday's games. I'm trying to remember who played Saturday. Buffalo.
Right, so Cincinnati played the Raiders in the first game.
It was a great football game.
So we had all kinds of weird things happen. A whistle that was blown. The officiating crew had some issues with that. Cincinnati scores. And then you had the Raiders trying to, at the very end, get within, win the game basically, and Cincinnati held them off. So good for the Bengals. They have to travel to Tennessee. I think they can match up with the Titans. Okay.
Yes, they can. They got Joe Burrow.
I think the Bengals have a real shot here, but it's hard to go against Tennessee, especially if Henry's going to be healthy and playing. But we'll see. And then that night game was just kind of over before it started.
The mafia is going to be rolling into Arrowhead, and look out, folks, because I'm telling you right now, they are firing on all cylinders. Holy cow!
I mean, they looked great against New England.
They've looked great for the last month.
Well, and that's what you want. You want to play your best football in December and January for sure. Certainly, I don't know how we talk about how Vegas knows Vegas this, that they were pretty bad on some of these lines.
They couldn't say Buffalo favored by 14 points. I mean, everybody would
said they could have gotten more money on New England by saying Buffalo by 8.5.
But New England had the same record as them, right? I mean, look, here's the thing: the eyeball test tells you that Buffalo is a better team than the New England Patriots before they even played the game. The eyeball test, I don't care what happened in the game in Orchard Park where it was 50-mile-an-hour winds. Buffalo is clearly the best team. I still think Buffalo is clearly the best team in the AFC. I know the Chiefs have played well at times, but if the Chiefs play anything like they did in the first half of last night, they're going to get run out of the stadium. Because they were just sleepwalking.
I would say the first quarter. In the second quarter, they scored 21 points, QB. I mean, look, Arrowhead is the hardest place. I think Kansas City plays just a different game at Arrowhead than they do on the road. And I do think there is a home field advantage there. I don't know if there is across the league in the NFL. These teams pretty much don't care where they play. But for some reason, Kansas City does sort of play their intensity levels are much higher now. In the first quarter last night, they did look like they were sleepwalking, and you're right, they can't afford to do that with the Bills coming in. But I can remember when the Tennessee Titans were playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and they were up 21 points in the first half and ended up losing by 30. So, Kansas City is one of those teams that is unstoppable if they get it going. And I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be back for the next game, I think. The lines that yesterday, Tampa was laying 8 against Philadelphia. At least that made you think that there could get some money on Philadelphia. But New England getting 3.5 at Buffalo is just a bad line. I think that was the easiest pick probably in wagering, in the wagering world. That was
the Chiefs. Chiefs was, because they're the Pittsburgh Steelers had zero business being in the playoffs. Real quick, let me get to a couple of these Facebook Lives brought to you by Metal Law. Sean says, Shane, the football team can learn a lot from the gymnastics team part. You'll see a different football team, don't worry. Gary says, at least we beat Bama in something, gymnastics. John says, Osiris Torrance is announcing today between Florida and LSU. Some people think he's already enrolled at UF. That I don't have any idea. We'll ask.
Let's understand how this gymnastics stuff works. Wins and losses are irrelevant somewhat. It's all about scores at this point in the year. And this time they do. It's about scoring, and how you score and where you reach to get to regionals and all the things that they do to get them to the postseason. Wins and losses. I mean, that's okay. I guess that's nice, but I don't think it really matters as much as what the points are in gymnastics.
John says, will the Bengals be content with one playoff win? I mean, they haven't won in a long time. I think they have an extremely good shot to win next week. Andy says, when history is finally written, who has a better career, Roethlisberger or Josh Allen? Ooh, that's a good question. I guess it's going to depend on if Josh Allen wins a Super Bowl, but I'll tell you right now, there's no comparison from a talent standpoint. It's not even close. Josh Allen.
Ben is 40, and Josh Allen.
I'm talking about right now. I'm not talking about how Ben's playing now. I'm going back to when they won Super Bowls. He was not Josh Allen. Josh Allen is one of the most talented QBs to ever play in the National Football League. So we'll see. A lot of Deebo Samuels here. Deebo Samuels is a freak. People forget Coach Spurrier and Bubba Spurrier, the ones that recruited him and signed him to go to South Carolina. So they know talent. They know wide receivers. As well. Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This January, mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC right now, we'll have Blake Alderman, second portion, talking recruiting. All right, let's talk about the Cowboys. I picked the 49ers because I thought they were the better team, and they dominated the football game, quite honestly. I love Kyle Shanahan. I think he might be the best play caller in the league right now, from a play caller, schemer, but sometimes he outsmarts himself. And all they had to do was just keep running the football. But that pass that did Jimmy Garoppolo just overshot his guy, allowed the Cowboys to even have a chance. But
well, it also
you're a Cowboys fan, JC.
Listen, okay, so you want to hear it from the Cowboys' point of view is if you have 14 penalties. And
that's an undisciplined football team. That's
what I'm saying. You can't win with 14 penalties, and I don't think these were penalties that San Francisco necessarily forced on Dallas. They were just bad. Dallas did not play. Listen, if Mike McCarthy has this issue with time management, he has this issue with timeouts. Now that wasn't a problem yesterday, but in the past he has had some problems managing football games. And when your team comes out and creates and has 14 penalties, now granted. I don't know. You could have called a lot of those penalties or left them alone. The holding penalty.
No, now about 4 of them were hands to the face. That's a penalty.
I know, and that's just bad. That's just bad. That's losing football mentality right there. But I don't know if you call holding on Randy Gregory there at the end of the game like that.
That's a penalty. Your defensive guy can't do that, JC.
They hug each other all day.
No.
Yeah, they do.
A defensive player. It is clear when a defensive player holds, and that was so clear. Well, you don't ever see that happen.
I just don't understand it. I don't understand all these penalties they had yesterday. It's bad. It's not. It's very disappointing. If you have that Dallas roster and you win 13 games or whatever they won, you are expected to win your home wild.
Well, you got to remember too. About 6 of those wins were against the awful NFC East. which is just awful.
It is. No, that's true. I mean, yeah, the Redskins, the Washington team, whatever they are now, who cares? The Giants and the Eagles are just very.
I mean, that's why, and quite honestly, the Cowboys and the Eagles probably shouldn't have been. I mean, maybe the Cowboys. They have some good skill guys.
The Cowboys had some good wins, and they were the 3 seed. They were this close to being the 2 seed. So they had a good season, regular season. And yeah, I know they played a weak division, but dear Lord, the discipline yesterday. And the 49ers come in with a very physical game. Defensively, they make you hold, I guess. So that kind of contradicts what I just said a minute ago. But the 49ers are also banged up right now. I don't know if Nick Bosa is going to be available next week. He's probably got a concussion. They had a guy yesterday with a little bit of an ankle issue there toward the end of the game that they have on. I think Green Bay is healthy. I think Green Bay is going to run over San Francisco next week. But I hope they do, because San Francisco is dangerous. If they get through Green Bay, they're going to beat the Rams or, well, I don't know, Tampa.
Tampa to me is nowhere near the team they were last year. I think they have serious problems in the secondary, serious problems in the secondary. And I think they have serious problems at their skill positions. I mean, they got you. If I was sitting in a defensive game plan room, here's what I say. Okay, we're going to rush 4. We're going to drop 7. We're going to in and out Mike Evans, double team him somehow, and double team Gronk. And if the other guys catch balls, so be it.
Yeah.
But without Godwin and these other guys, Antonio Brown, they are not the same team. And I don't think they have any chance of getting to the Super Bowl.
Well, they would have to basically lose a home game, which they haven't done all year, basically, except the Saints. And they would have to lose at probably Green Bay. If somehow the Niners beat Green Bay, then Tampa's going to play their last game at home should they beat the winner of the Rams-Cardinals game, which I think they can do.
Yeah, we got a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. I just lost it, but it was somebody asking, how does Dak not know that the umpire has to spot the ball? Look, I don't know why in the hell they even called that play. Whether they get to spike off or not, because what is the difference throwing a ball in the end zone from, say, the 40-yard line and the 30-yard line?
I'm not sure it was a called play. I think Dak improvised and thought he could get the ball spiked before the clock ran out. But that's stupid. Well, he had 14 seconds. I think he thought he could do it.
Yeah, but there's a rule of thumb that you learn this in training camp that usually 17 seconds is the cutoff when you can complete a pass or call a play and get everybody up and spike a ball. That's a study that has been done. But my point is, you have to throw the ball in the end zone. You have no other way of scoring to win this game.
Yeah.
Why not throw it from the 40? What good is it going to do to run another 10 yards? Because you're still going to, if you get a spike off, you still got to throw it in the end zone.
Yeah. Well, these are things that happen in the heat of the moment. I don't know. Maybe he liked his chances from the 15-yard line better than from the 30. But the thing is that San Francisco allowed it to happen because they didn't have guys guarding the sidelines for whatever reason before that last play. And I couldn't figure that out either. So, listen, I think the Niners clearly played better football yesterday, and they outplayed the Cowboys at home. And I just think the Niners are that. You remember I was talking about there's a team out there, a lower seeded team that could get really hot like Tampa did last year and run through the playoffs on the road and win all their games and go to the Super Bowl. I would have believed that could be San Francisco, but I don't think without Bosa and without healthy players.
You didn't pick San Francisco to win the game yesterday.
No, I didn't. I thought Dallas was at home and they were going to win by 3. Yeah. But listen, I still think that the Niners are capable. I just don't know if they're going to beat a rested Green Bay team in 1-degree weather in Green Bay. I don't know. I mean, listen. Bosa's a great player, but if he's got a concussion, he's not going to play. That hurts San Francisco's defense. And Green Bay right now, who's going to argue that they're not on cruise control offensively? So if Rodgers is good, which we have no reason to believe he won't be, I can't imagine the 49ers. Well, I guess I could imagine it, but I don't think the 49ers are going to beat Green Bay. And right now they go in as a 5.5-point underdog, which is, I mean, that's about what you would expect in this game coming up. And they will be playing Green Bay on Saturday night. So it's going to be frigid. And I think, it's a tough trip to take. And then if they do happen to win that game, they better pray that the winner of the Arizona and the Arizona Rams winner beats Tampa, because I don't think.
I think that's going to happen. And here's the reason why. Because I just told you the Bucs have serious problems in the secondary.
Well, but the Cardinals are also challenged on the outside too. The Hopkins is not playing. Rondell Moore's not playing. If James Conner is not running the ball, Kyler Murray is not good enough. They got dudes back there that they can that they got plenty of wide receivers. They don't have their studs, but they've got AJ Green. That's it, and that's not going to be enough.
No, they got the Christian Kirk kid.
They don't have Hopkins, and they may not have Connor, and they are not beating Tampa Bay without those guys. The Cardinals, they struggled toward the end of the year because of injuries. They were not as good a team in December as they were in September and October, November. They just weren't. They didn't have the weapons. And if they do beat the Rams, going across the country to Tampa, I'm taking the Bucs. So.
Well, I'm just telling folks the Bucs are not the same team that they've been in the past. That's all I'm saying. Is they're very, very beatable. And,
so that game would be on Sunday at 3:30. The Tampa game's on Sunday at 3:30. The Chiefs and the Bills will play at 6:30 on Sunday night. I mean, that game right there. Wow, what a game. And then Cincinnati and Tennessee will start it on Saturday afternoon at 4:30. So all of the games are set. Tampa's going to play. All us Buck fans, 3:30 Sunday is the game. It's going to be the Rams or the Cardinals. We'll find that out tonight. They'll play in LA tonight. The Rams are going to be missing some guys in the defensive backfield. And either one, whoever wins this game, I think is losing in Tampa.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that those two teams tonight playing can do pretty well. Is throw the football. Yeah, both of them can throw the football, and the Bucs can't stop the pass. I'm telling you, people. That's why I don't think the Bucs have a chance if they go to Green Bay, because 12 is going to just slice and dice them.
Well, that's probably what we're looking at. I just think Green Bay. I think San Francisco's healthy, yeah, maybe, but they're going to be missing some big players. But give them credit; they've gotten this far. They won a game in LA. They had to win coming from behind. They won a game yesterday, obviously, as a playoff game. So they're tough, man. They're really tough. It's a tough football team. And I don't know. I know you love Cincinnati, but I think Tennessee, if they're rested and healthy physically, is just
the problem with the Titans. Because I love Mike Vrabel, I love what they've done. If the Titans get behind, they're in trouble, and because they're not a come from behind team. And I just think Cincinnati is so explosive on offense with the skill guys they have. Look, here, I don't know who's going to win. We'll make our picks, but Cincinnati's a team that's going to be around for a long time now with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's very true. They got these guys signed for a while, and they're not going anywhere. Mixon's all locked up. Boyd and Higgins and Chase. Yeah, they're all young on rookie contracts. They're not going anywhere. So you're right. They're going to win the division. I think they're going to probably have control of that division here for the next 2 or 3 years, maybe 4. Now, I do think if Cleveland ever could figure out how to stay healthy for a season, Cleveland could definitely be a threat to them. But I think the days of Pittsburgh and Baltimore are coming to an end for the time being.
Yep. If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. A few more minutes with JC, and then we'll be joined by Blake Alderman, Swamp 24/7 Sports.
You went, QB, just so you know.
Yeah, how did I do? I did pretty good, didn't I?
You went 8-2. Why aren't you on the daily wager? Why aren't you making real
What games? What did I miss?
You missed the over in Cincinnati, and you took the Eagles.
That was by like a point, wasn't it?
Well, it was close. It was real close. And if the Raiders go down to score at the end there, then you hit the over. And you also you took the Eagles, and that's fine, but you won everything else. And 8-2 is pretty. I mean, that gets you.
How did you go, JC? How did you do?
I don't really know. It was.
You lost your sheet.
I had this awful idea that unders would come in some of these games, which was just stupid. The overs were 4-1 on the weekend. The favorites were 4-1. So Vegas got murdered this weekend. Vegas got smoked this weekend. And that's there's a Monday morning meeting coming in a few hours in Vegas at all the sports books because they got blasted by the Gen Pop. And the favorites went 4-1 yesterday. The only favorite not to win was 4-1 this weekend. The only favorite not to win was Dallas. We had 3 blowouts. We had 2 somewhat close games. And the only reason the Dallas game was close was because of silly things.
So who do I have tonight? Who did I pick tonight?
So you got the Cardinals in the over. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to win. Although I love Sean McVay and Matt Stafford because if the Bucks are to, I think, gosh, I don't know. The Rams defense has been somewhat disappointing this year, and obviously they have no safeties. Eric Weddle, who's been retired for a couple of years, they signed him to come play. He's starting tonight.
That's crazy.
He was an all-pro guy for a long time, but he's been sitting at home. Who knows what he's been doing? Real quick, somebody on here wants to know, JC, did you watch the game on Nickelodeon?
No, but young kids, I heard it was pretty good for the youngsters. Parents liked it. It keeps young kids interested in it, keeps the parents from having to worry about them while they want to watch football. So, I heard it was a pretty good production, but I'm sorry I missed that, guys. Sorry I missed it. I do believe, though, that we're going to have a highly more competitive games upcoming next weekend than what we saw this weekend. But there were a couple of good close ones that were intriguing. The way the Raiders game ended, the way the Cowboys game ended. But the other ones were just it was like watching college football in week 3. Buffalo had no business being a 3-point favorite. That was a terrible line by Vegas. Somebody's going to answer for that, I'm sure. And Philadelphia, listen, Hurts just is not a passer, folks. I know he had a good year at Oklahoma. It was a function of many different things. I think the circumstances more than anything, the coaching. But in this league, dude, if you can't stretch the field and pass the football, they just
where have you heard that before, JC?
I don't know anybody that played football, but I just think that the Eagles were just so miserable, and it's just brutal to watch. Really.
So here's because I haven't watched the Eagles a lot, but again, the reason they made the playoffs is because they were in the NFC East against horrible teams. But their passing game, as you mentioned, it was worse than some college teams. It was too much horizontal wide receiver screens. They'd have DBs playing off. You'd hear the commentators just throw a hitch out there. But yeah, I love Jalen Hurts. I love what he's all about. I don't think he can play. He cannot be an everyday starter in the National Football League.
I think in the draft, you watch Philadelphia go for quarterback. I do.
Yeah, he can't be a starting quarterback in that league. He'd be a good guy come off the bench, but he cannot be a starter. Gary says the Manning cast is on tonight. Yeah, I'll be watching that instead of the Steve Levy and his crew.
Well, yeah, you're going to love watching that because they're going to talk about Stafford and Kyler Murray, 2 very good passers, right? So, you like to watch the passers talk about passers, and they're fun, man. They're a fun thing to watch. That's a great production. Whoever's idea that was came up with a real gold mine. Very interesting and much more entertaining for folks, I think.
All right, Chris says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law. How good are your Bills, Shane? You called it on the Bills; they look good. I picked Bills to win Super Bowl in August, and I want to say they lost in the middle of the season, early in the season. They lost a Pro Bowl corner, but I think they're ranked the number 1 defense in the league right now. I could be wrong on that.
No, you're right.
But I just think with the ability of Josh Allen, I'm just telling you right now, if you have Bills Packers in the Super Bowl, you're going to have 2 of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play the game in that.
And I think you could say the same thing if you have Packers Chiefs. And you talk about divisions. Buffalo had a pretty lousy division too, QB. Okay, so let's just be clear about that.
I know, but I don't. I love Pat Mahomes, but I don't know. His running ability is not what Josh Allen is a runner. Pat will scramble, but I don't know what it is, but when I've watched the Chiefs this year, and I don't follow them close enough, I feel like they got problems on the offensive line. I feel like he's really running for his life a lot. So we'll see. Chris says Josh is Brett Favre 2.0. I think Josh is a little bit better than Brett Favre, quite honestly.
Well, he's 6'6", he weighs 230 pounds, and he can just take over a game. He took it over, but then he has Josh Allen moments too, where, last time they played Kansas City in the playoffs, he looked horrible. Now, has he gotten that?
That was last year, but this year when they played there, they buried the Chiefs.
Well, but that doesn't mean anything right now.
I know it doesn't. But
nothing. But they played in the playoffs last year, and he had a lot of problems. And I don't know if that's going to happen again. But
I'm picking the Bills to win that game, and I already know what the line is.
You're taking the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what you're doing. Okay. Yep. Well, I mean, it's not a bad pick. It's not a bad. I mean, they are playing great right now. Best football that they played all season is right now in Buffalo. I just think it's tough, man, when you have to go to Kansas City for your second game, and then you've got somebody like. But listen, Tennessee is at home the whole time, but Tennessee earned that throughout 17 games, and Buffalo had their issues.
Well, Tennessee had that awful division they played in as well.
Well, listen, QB, you can say it was awful, but it wasn't any more awful than what Buffalo played in, if you ask me. And I think,
At least they had the Patriots. Who else did the Titans have in their division?
I mean, the Titans had the Colts. They could have made the playoffs if they just beat Jacksonville, for crying out loud. But you know who else didn't beat Jacksonville this year? So
Buffalo. Buffalo didn't score a touchdown against them. They lost 9-6.
That's why that's just like, did the guy even want to be there? Where were these guys? Why did they have that?
All right, JC, before we let you go, we're waiting on Blake to get online here. I'm going to give you This Day in Sports. It's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members with all levels of experience. $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, JC, in 1916, on this day,
all right.
Do you know who Rodman Wanamaker is?
Sounds like a golfer whose name was put on the PGA Championship trophy.
Yes. So Rodman Wanamaker organized a lunch, maybe at some little diner, to discuss forming a golfers association, later known as the PGA, at the Taplow Club Martinique Hotel in New York City.
I'll be darned. Well,
how about that?
This trophy is the biggest one of all four majors. It's massive. Yep. So good stuff, QB. These are nice little tidbits you add on.
All right, JC. Everybody, all our loyal listeners says, to hell with JC. It's time to talk Gator recruiting. Okay.
All right. Go get some recruiting news in there. All right.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. I'm going to take a quick timeout, come back. We'll be joined by Blake Alderman. Give us your questions, because I know a lot of people are excited about Gator recruiting. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. We're now going to head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by Blake Alderman from Swamp 24/7 Sports, recruiting analyst, does a tremendous job, and probably has not slept a wink over the weekend. Good morning, Blake. How are you, my man?
I'm tired.
I bet. All right. So we got a ton of people here that want to talk Gator recruiting. Obviously, it was a big weekend. They have 2 more left. But it sounds like things are changing the way the Gators are recruiting under Billy Napier and his staff.
It does. You've got a lot of guys that, even heading into the official visits, you have more than one coach that's contacting a kid. They're contacting them, if not every day, it's every other day. When these guys are on campus, you're seeing the change. You're seeing, them take them to dinner. Some things don't change. They take them to Dave and Buster's. They take them to dinner. Maybe some of the things that changed was, on a Saturday, instead of going to Ballyhoo, they eat in the Champions Club of the stadium, overlooking the stadium. They eat lunch that Saturday in the IPF. Obviously, touring campus and things, those aren't big changes, but, I think this coaching staff just puts so much more focus on recruiting. They spend, they're obviously, playing catch up, building relationships with a lot of these guys just from the fact that they were hired, and really got assembled in December and still assembling that coaching staff. So they're working hard to build those relationships. One of the things that was different as well was, instead of these freshmen coming into a dorm, they actually showed them, those new apartments called, it's on University.
The Standard.
The Standard, yes. I was about to look at my phone to see what the name of it is. Having those changes, even from, the food that the players eat to the parking passes that these guys get to avoid those parking tickets, you can see those little changes that are going to accumulate over time, and it's really going to help these players. It's definitely going to have those guys want to run through a brick wall for a guy like Napier, who's done a lot for them in his short time even being there.
We got a couple of Facebook Lives here. Lauren says he and Nat Blaylock were at Spurrish Friday, and the Army was out for sure. Okay, we got a couple of texts on the Titan MR text line and Facebook Lives here talking about Harold Perkins. Real quick before we get to that, let's see. Joseph says that he has heard that when guys wear all white in their photo ops, that they're, quote, silent commits. Any truth to that myth?
That was something that earlier on, I think it was either in Mullen or it was the end of McElwain. I want to say it was in Mullins. That was something that they tried to do. It's not so much of a thing anymore. It's kind of just more of a fun running joke. But, these guys get to pick whatever uniform combination they want to wear. It's what they pick. It's what they want to take pictures with.
All right, so let's get to the Perkins kid. What are your thoughts on him flipping to the Gators?
I think Florida made a really good visit, or made a good impression on his visit, rather. I think that, he's been trying to get to Florida's campus for, even under the previous coaching staff. He's tried to get there a couple times. It never really materialized. He got a chance to come this weekend. He's being recruited by, most of the Army, Coach Napier, Patrick Toney. He spent some time around a lot of those guys. Jamar Chaney is another guy who he spent a lot of time with as well, a guy who's in the off-field role on Florida staff. He's really close with Florida's new freshman enrollee, Kamari Wilson. So he had a lot of guys that are around this weekend. He said the visit really exceeded his expectations. He's planning to, or at least he's going to try to visit LSU and Miami at some point. He's playing in an all-star game, which is kind of crazy because it's out in Hawaii. Like, it's got to be probably one of the best, to me at least, the all-star games. I mean, you get to spend a week in Hawaii. He's playing in the Polynesian Bowl. So this weekend coming up of the 21st, it's going to be tough for him to visit somewhere just because I believe the game is on Saturday. So he's talking about some visits still. He's unsure about the schedule. No dates are really set going forward. Like I said, Florida, he said, it exceeded his expectations. I'm curious to see if the visit high wears off, as you get closer to signing day. Does it wear off? Does it have a long-lasting impact? I think Florida made a really good impression with him. But for me, I think it's just seeing, where things go from here. Obviously Florida's going to be able to go see him, maybe not so much this week just because he's going to be out of town, but I would expect Florida to come back by and see him whenever they can, since it's the contact period and coaches can go see these guys for in-home visits and whatnot. So for me, again, it's just the lasting impression that this Florida visit has, because A&M has been, kind of the constant for him in his recruitment for the most part. So I just really want to see, if what he saw at Florida and those expectations that were exceeded still feel the same, maybe, in a couple days to a couple weeks.
Got a couple of questions here for you, Blake, on the Facebook Live brought to you by Mellon Law. They want to know what the status of five-star safety Jacoby Matthews and Malik Bryant.
Malik Bryant, he's a 2023 guy. He's an edge guy. He was able to visit Saturday and Sunday and spend his time there in Gainesville. I haven't got a chance to catch up with him yet. I think since he's a 2023 guy, you won't see him make any kind of sudden decisions. I think he continues to, take the visits, have the whole recruitment play out going forward, just because he has so much time before he needs to make a decision. But I can say that this new staff at Florida has really kind of revitalized Florida in this recruitment. Before this new staff came in, Florida really was kind of an outsider looking in. He had visited Florida before in the other staff. I just don't know that Florida was really a big factor in his recruitment. But I think that's changed just from he really seems to like these guys. He really likes Kamari Wilson, the guy who's, really the kind of the lightning rod for a lot of these guys, Florida's freshman safety who enrolled for the spring semester. So he's got a lot of those, Kamari Wilson's a positive. He really likes the coaching staff. That's a positive. He plays for a former Gator at Orlando Jones High School and Elijah Williams. So there's a lot of things I like about Florida here, but this is going to be a battle. He's, a five-star guy for a reason. He's very talented. He's going to continue to take visits to schools. He's going to continue to hear from other schools. So I don't know that was going to be over anytime soon, but I can say that, Florida's in this much more than they were under the previous staff, under the new staff. And as far as Jacoby Matthews, he wasn't able to make it in this past weekend. He had his official visit swapped around. So instead of this past weekend, he'll be there the weekend of January 21st. He had Patrick Toney, Florida's co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach, at his house this past Friday before the official visitors came in. That was the first day when the contact period opened. So, they're going to get him on campus this weekend. That's the expectation, at least. So we'll see where things go from there. He does seem to like Florida. In my opinion, it's a Florida LSU battle. He'll visit Florida this weekend. He'll visit LSU the weekend of January 28th. So those two visits are coming up. Florida, he's never been to campus before. He's never been to Gainesville. He's only met, Patrick Toney once. He does know a lot of guys. He's familiar with Billy Napier from being at ULL. He's familiar with Corey Raymond from the time when Jacoby was committed to LSU. So there's some ties that he likes at Florida. He wants to see where he fits in the defense and how they want to use him, and what they can do for his playing career as far as elevating him to that next level of playing in the NFL like he wants to. But I think a lot of things really hinge on that visit, just because he's a guy that he just doesn't know what to expect out of the visit.
John asked here, what about the transfer of Javon Baker? I heard he was a surprise visitor.
He was. He surprised me. It's funny. I was at the airport, waiting for the official visitors to leave, just because the coaching staff, they really didn't want us hanging out on campus. There's some small compliance rules and things of that nature that, it's their first weekend. So I wanted to make sure that, there wasn't any snags. So I went to the airport, whenever the guys started to leave, which is fine. I was able to get, everything I needed. And then, they drive these guys around in like a rental SUV. And I had thought in my head that for the most part, all the visitors were done. And then I see this, black Yukon or whatever it was pull up the airport, and a Florida staffer hop out with some family. I'm like, who is this guy? And I see them, go up to, get their flight information and all that. And then I turn around, I'm like, oh man, that's Javon Baker, the Alabama receiver. And, I talked with him. He was a surprise visitor, at least to me. I was talking with him. He's a former teammate of Carlos Del Rio, who's Florida's quarterback. They played with it at McEachern together whenever Carlos was a junior. So he really likes Coach Napier. He really likes Coach Kerry Colbert, the Florida's wide receivers coach. They like those bigger body type of wide receivers that can run. And he knows that he fits into that scheme of what they want to do. He really likes them. I think Florida's a big factor. He didn't have any other visits going up. I asked him, what are his plans as far as enrollment? Are you a summer A guy? Or are you a spring guy? He really didn't seem to have that completely ironed out, but he didn't. He said that, enrolling somewhere for the spring is a possibility. he said that Florida really made a big move for him. I believe he's visited before in the past under whatever previous coaching staff was in place whenever he was a high school recruit. But I think Florida's in a really good spot for him. I think they really made a good move, and I think he really liked that new coaching staff.
Hey, Chris Doring Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Blake Alderman from Swamp 24/7 Sports, you can follow Blake on Twitter at Blake_Alderman. Blake, give us a quick rundown of the kid that we picked up, the transfer from Georgia.
From Georgia, Oh, you're talking about Jalen Kimber. Yes, sorry.
Yes.
He's a long-bodied defensive back. Sorry, I was thinking the kid from Alabama. I'm like, the kid who committed Sunday. I'm like, that kid's from Alabama. But yes, Jalen Kimber. He was a former top 100 recruit. He was a top 10 cornerback in his high school recruiting class. He had actually visited Florida before. They were somewhat of a factor in his recruitment when he was in high school. But he entered the transfer portal last week. Corey Raymond went right in there. Got connected with him. He had been recruited by Raymond when he was at LSU. And Raymond really shut this thing down quickly. So that it was really a quick moving recruitment. He's a long guy. That's really kind of the body style that Corey Raymond likes for his defensive backs. So I think he's a really high level guy. He would have been, I believe he's only played in 3 games in his playing career so far. His freshman year, he only was able to see time in 1 game, but that redshirt freshman year for him in 2021, he was expected to see a lot more playing time for Georgia. He had a shoulder injury fairly early in the season that sidelined him the entire year. And, even as he was recovering for that this year, had he not entered the transfer portal, he was a guy that was expected to get a lot of snaps, if not be a starter for Georgia in 2022. So you're getting a really high-level guy through the transfer portal. Like I said, anytime you can get a top 10 guy at his position, someone where you can come in and throw him in there and make him an impact, add some talented depth to the roster. Not only that, but a guy that fits what you want in a player. I think that was a really good addition for Florida.
We got a text on the Titan MR text line. I want to kind of paraphrase it, but it's from Jimmy. Jimmy wants to know, in the past, I don't know if the rules have changed or not, but were former players who are in the National Football League allowed to hang around on recruiting visits? I saw where Chauncey Gardner Jr. Was around this weekend. Has that been a rule change?
I actually thought that to myself. I'm not sure if that rule has changed. So I'm not totally sure that they are able to hang around with the visitors, but I don't know if that's an exception that can be made whenever you have an official visit. That was my thing that I was unsure of. So I'm not totally sure myself. But I that's something that I need to look into myself. But I did wonder when I did see that he was there.
Yeah, I want to say in the past you could not be a part of it, but I feel like now with NIL and all the rule changes, hell, anybody could probably hang around and it's legal. But who knows? Blake, real quick, I'm just curious from your standpoint. I mean, this is a grind time for you. As you mentioned that the coaches and they don't really want y'all on campus or hanging around. Kind of walk us through what you do on a recruiting weekend.
Well, normally I sit around outside the stadium and I wait for these guys to leave. That's on a Sunday. From the Saturdays to Fridays. I'm making sure whenever guys arrive, who their player host is. I really don't try to bug a lot of the visitors. To figure out, hey, what are you doing right now? Because they are on an official visit. So I do try to respect some boundaries there to let them enjoy their visit, get the full feel, and all that, really unbothered. But for this weekend, it was more kind of, since it's the staff's first recruiting weekend, as a staff, not having any, the guys that were kind of in transition from Mullen staff to here, really trying to figure out this weekend, since it was their first time, kind of what the itinerary is, what's going on. So that was something that I was spending time doing between Friday and Saturday. But, Sunday, it's a lot of waiting around. I arrive in the morning. I kind of wait for guys to wrap up their visit. I do those interviews, and I spend a lot of time writing. So it's not very exciting on Sunday. It's a long day. I think I left Lakeland at 6 a.m. yesterday, got in Gainesville around 8. And I don't even think I saw my first visitor leave until almost like noon. So it was a lot of waiting around.
Well, good stuff as always. Right now, you've been doing this for a while. Real briefly, what is the biggest difference that you've seen how these guys, this new staff, handles these recruiting weekends compared to the old staff?
I think they spend a lot more time around these guys as a whole. You have, obviously you have a lead coach that, if you're a wide receiver, you're going to spend a lot of time around the wide receivers coach. But I think you've seen that Coach Napier be a lot more involved in these visits, spending time around a lot of these guys. Even as simple as things like, Harold Perkins being in town on Friday, them having dinner at Spurrier's, and they made sure to have Coach Napier sit next to Harold Perkins, that lets you know you're a priority. And it kind of reminds me of times where you see, Nick Saban driving around in a car and having that key big time visitor in there with him when they're driving to, a restaurant or to Saban's house or wherever they're going. Those kind of things, it's kind of a fingerprint of things to where I kind of saw a connection there of, what Napier has learned from working under Saban, as far as recruiting goes. So, you see them spend a lot more time around Coach Napier. For the most part, just I think the relatability for a lot of these guys, a lot of these coaches really are able to relate to a lot of these guys, it seems to me, a little bit better. So I think that those are some of the big differences. And again, just like I said, from a contact standpoint, you have these guys that are in contact. If not every day, it's every other day. And you're hearing from Coach Napier almost every day, if not every day. So the amount of contact they're having with these guys seems to be an uptick for me.
Well, great stuff, Blake. Let everybody know how they can check out all your good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Swamp 24/7. That's the Florida Gators 24/7 site. My Twitter handle is Blake_Alderman. I put a lot of my content out through there. With the contact period going on, I'll have some coaches on the road stuff today out there. I've already pretty much wrapped up most of the stuff from the official visitor weekend. I have a couple guys that I wasn't able to connect with left over that I need to, get some interviews with and those posted. So with signing day on February 2nd, this coaching staff's on the road every day. They're seeing these recruits every day. So I'll have those stops out from wherever, assistant coaches and Coach Napier are at.
Good stuff, buddy. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon, Blake.
Thanks a lot.
That's Blake Alderman joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Going to take our final time out, come back, wrap up this Martin Luther King Day version of Pot Up with Matthews and the more.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank JC and Blake Alderman. Blake does a tremendous job. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Blake_Alderman. Andy says Paul Tyson update. He's taking his great granddaddy Bear Bryant's jeans to Arizona State. Yep, he's going to Arizona State. Doesn't mean he'll play, but he's going to get an opportunity there. A Rap Spot is expanding, folks. It's opening its second location in the heart of Gainesville at 1931 North Main Street. Rap Spot's teamed up with the crew at Vibrant Vinyl. Works to offer color change wraps, advertising wraps, custom striping, hood wraps, and wall wraps. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Enjoy Martin Luther King Day if you're off work. If not, have fun at work. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Rap Spot. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.